Hey there, this is Dreth, and this is going to be the first of other videos. Um, this one is McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Custom Scarecrow. So I'm going to talk about a little bit of how we got to the final product because it is composed of various figures. And normally that's the case with customs, but it's composed of three from the same wave, basically. It's almost a whole wave. So we got Scarecrow, and we have Wonder Woman, and we have Batman. Let's just put that aside. So, looking at the actual figure itself, I want to focus on some key areas, but the first thing that I had to get right was the head. And of course, the whole syringe game thing going on. Um, Scarecrow has always been known to have a very unkempt appearance. He's always had a distinguished type of mask, something that will set him apart because he's still a human. He's not scarred or anything like that. So the mask is very important, as well as whatever method of injection he's using for his fear toxin or fear gas or whatever. There are quite a few sloppy washes on purpose. We want to give it a very grungy and dirty look. So I decided to do those with satin acrylic paint because even after it dried, and even if it's a little, even if it's dry brushing, it does tend to have this little bit of a glow, and it was perfect for the mask because I wanted to have it that not dry but disgusting look to it, a little bit of wetness. You can see that it's kind of like a mouth sewn shut type of thing. If we look at the actual figure, it was inside a red balloon, but if we took it out, it looked like that, like a screaming demon or a zombie. So I wanted to not outright glue the mouth closed, so I decided to do that, and then add those bearings to the sides. I think it's from a skateboard, and it does look like a gas mask to a certain degree. It's a lot easier to hold suspense of belief that this is a person inside a gas mask that just looks nasty than it being the actual face. So this works very good. The hood itself, this came from a Robin, Arkham Knight, or Arkham City figure. I can't remember which one. Now the mask needed to work. There was no way around it. So if I'm gonna go with the hood, I need to decorate the hood. So I took a small burlap sack, and I also tried a hat, but it just didn't work how I needed it to. So I had to go back to the hood. Now moving on to our next action figure victim, Wonder Woman. I want to show you what she provided, because what she brought to the table was very, very, very helpful to give it the overall look that I'm showing right now on screen. So hers was basically her cape became his suit. It was already weathered and like rugged in some areas, but I decided to even make it even worse. Here we can see how much of the original cape still remains. Um, Obviously, it's on backwards, so the neck is still to a degree holding on to the upper area, but for the middle, for the waist, I had to use a tight wrap, which is like a very strong zip tie, and I pretty much went home and pulled it as tight as I could. After that, I glued it on the actual cape, and eventually I covered the zip tie with that little rope. So, briefly mentioned using a lighter, and I'm talking about real fire being put up to plastic pieces with fumes and everything. And I would just press on it and use different things to maintain the shape and the texture while removing basically volume out of this big rubber thing. But I added the news afterwards because otherwise it would have melted. So everything came to be away hidden under anything that resembled cloth or hay or burlap, whatever. And Batman would be number 3. As I mentioned before, the body, which is bare bones, was used, the upper body, but also the legs. The legs are pretty buff. So before I came up with using the cape, I had the legs exposed, and that was a big no-no, because he didn't skip leg days, but he skipped everything else. So besides that, the jacket itself, I only had to stretch it out, like really get it soft, a lot of heat, and then try to stretch it out as much as I could, and then make it cold so that it would keep and not shrink back down. The only other thing I did to it was the straps from the Batman figure, which I cut up and spent a little bit of effort trying to glue them in. And they, when we look at the figure from afar or as a silhouette, from behind it would have been totally open. But with this, it does add that extra layer of randomness and clothing. Another aspect from Scarecrow, because he provided the face, the jacket, and the arms and hands, obviously. So the hands themselves, I love them, but I always wanted to see like a smaller version. So I wanted to, I guess I went with the best of both worlds. One big, haunting, very menacing but fictional looking hand, and the other a little bit more grounded version, if we're gonna go by whatever the Arkham series has shown us. Articulation obviously is gone on this smaller one. Nonetheless, the pose is pretty dynamic but neutral at the same time, so it shouldn't be an issue. And I guess this would be pretty much it. Just gonna leave you with some close-ups, some shots, and hopefully I'll see you next time if you enjoyed this. Thanks for watching. You take care.